Okay, let's rock and roll. So I am standing here in Durban and I wanted to share with you. So this is our bonus session for Wealth Going Global. And one of the things that I'm super excited about is today's session. So I was interviewed on radio this morning and they were like, what is it about IT technology? And I don't know, but I've always enjoyed it. I was programming since I was 6 years old on a Commodore 64. And I've always loved what we can do with technology and how we can marry it together with the property world. And so even though we've been through the 6 modules of Wealth Going Global, what I offer as a bonus is where is the world going in terms of the next 10 years from a technology perspective, and how can we use that technology to really enhance our investing. So let me spotlight myself, and I'm just going to mute everyone. Okay, Kelly, you should be host. If you could just let people in, please. Oh, that's the wrong. I just want to do this.
Good morning, all.
Morning. Okay, let's rock and roll. So the one thing I will say to you today is strap yourself in. There's a lot of information, and this is a comprehensive presentation I'm going to share with you. I will be recording it because I bet you might have to watch it once or twice. That will be my assumption. There's a lot to this. So what is it all about? Smart investing. It's bringing it all together with technology and the future of smart investing. And this is the bonus module that sits over here. I do remind you that if you want to go back and see how this all works, you can literally go back to our school community. You go down to Wealth Going Global, and everything is here. All the lessons are here. All the Q&As are here. Everything is all in one place in terms of your process. So you've got everything all in one place in terms of that. And I can see we need to put up the Q&A from the time module. But anyway, we'll get that all up in terms of that process. Oh, why does it go to the wrong slideshow? Okay, that's where you can also, there's no further events with regards to Wealth Going Global, but I'm sure and I hope that we're going to go on a long journey together. And if you want to keep looking at what's going on in the calendar, there's always things that we'll be adding to add value to you. And if you want to communicate and talk with the rest of the community, then that's a fantastic place to go and have a chat with the community in terms of that process. For the final session today, my recommendation is, and hopefully you remember this by now, but pay full attention, take notes, try to teach someone else, play full on, commit to action, set yourself goals, have fun, and, take some action. So we've seen this many, many times. I did warn you right up front that this can be an overwhelming journey. But even though I don't want to overwhelm people consciously, I am conscious that it's happening because of this. So people go through this unconscious incompetence. They don't know what they don't know. They then turn up and they see a bike and they go, oh, wow, I actually didn't know that I didn't know how to ride a bike. And then you kind of go to conscious competence where you start to learn and you're kind of wobbling all over the place. And then finally, you've got unconscious competence where you can kind of ride the bike easily. Most of you will probably be sitting somewhere between conscious incompetence and or conscious competence by now. So you will have a good idea of what you don't know. There'll be a bunch of things that over the last 6 modules have really woken you up and gone, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And you'll start to learn it now. But I just want to, it takes a long time and constant and never-ending effort to keep moving towards this. And what I've learned as I get older is it doesn't matter how much I do, I keep learning that I don't know. Like the more I learn, the more I realize I didn't know, if that makes sense. So it's a never-ending journey that we're on. If you want to stay in contact and you want us to keep you updated, then go to the Wealth Going Global WhatsApp group. I don't know, Kelly, if you can just put the link in the chat room for everyone, and or you can do that. And or you can go to the resources. Just a reminder for anyone that's watching the recording, you can always go to the resources here. So you can go into the welcome where we explain it all, and you can see the links here. So it's all there. So just where did I go? In the course, literally the very first tab, and you can go in and join it. So it's always available to you in terms of that process. Okay. What did we do in terms of wrapping up module 6? Well, that was all around your timing and your construction, which accounts for 85% of your total returns. The actions there, remembering that silver is compulsory, gold is bonus. So for silver, it was to understand your wealth plan, start on your needs and variables, and finalize your wealth plan. So it was really, really important. I hope you've all done it, to walk away with your wealth plan. And then also, apply or talk to one of our team members, because what I find is so important is that now you got the plan, and so few people actually have the ability to execute and implement on a plan. And so what we do is we hold your hand. And so I would strongly recommend you go to that link, globallydiversifiedwealth.com/call, and set up a call and chat with one of our team members. And as a goal, review your wealth plan. And if you're wanting to get that Power of Clarity session, which is that free training from Tony Robbins, it's really important if you go right to the beginning and you say, like, what was my why? Why was this so important? And then you tie it to your plan, you'll see how it all comes together, and it'll give you the driving force to make that a reality. So hopefully that's what your wealth plan should look like. And also, you've basically got your why, your how, and your what. So it should all be in place for you in terms of getting that done. On the other side of the fence, you've hopefully been through it now, and you've got your top 5 countries, your top 5 currencies, and your top 15 assets in terms of that process. Right, today I'm not going to be giving you financial advice. I am going to be sharing with you a hell of a lot of what I've learned over the last 20 years. And I'm also someone who, as I've already said, loves the future. And I'm going to share with you where I think we're going in the future. What is this all about? Globally diversified passive income and portfolio growth. It's about diversification across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time, which are the 5 modules we went through. And if you've got a big goal, set your goal, have mini goals, and then have weekly tasks and activities. So what is the difference? And do me a favor, type in the chat box. What is the difference between beginning teaching and advanced learning? Anyone want to type it in the chat box? Anyone? Anyone? So I love this slide because for me, it represents a lot of what we are talking about. And so in the beginning, we're still very much in the beginning teaching. Like, you've got a lot of awareness now of what's going on and what you need to know and what is the language and what is the knowledge. And my invitation to you is to continue on this journey, very similar to the journey I've been on for 28 years, where we are in beginning teaching, but we commit to the advanced learning. And there's only one way to do that, and that's just to keep going. It's this exact same process where you're eventually getting to mastery. That's the objective. I don't think any of us will actually ever get to mastery around investing, because I think it's something that's like growing and adapting and changing all the time. The fundamentals don't change, but that's the intention in terms of. Now, I wanted to share a slide with you that has evolved over the last couple of weeks, and some of the community members here were part of actually growing this. And it's become really, really important because it's really the entire framework upon what we offer. So everyone that is out there in the world, pretty much anyone I meet, wants one of these 3 things, if not all 3 things. They want wealth, they want freedom, and they want legacy. Well, how do you actually achieve that? It starts by having a strong foundation in terms of having the right belief and the right knowledge. Then you've got to have a plan in place. Then you've got to have access to the right deals, the right information, the right partners. Then you need a system. No one ever has succeeded without actually having a system. Then once you've got your plan, access, and system in place, you need accountability. And finally, you need trust. Now, we call this the Wealth 5.0 blueprint. And I want to share with you what you already have in your arsenal to help you succeed in your journey. So let's start with belief. You should all have access to our investor roadmap. So again, if you look here, you can literally go along and you can go to the classroom, and there's the investor roadmap. It's number 3. And it's a course that Alex put together. There's 5 simple steps. And what that'll do is it'll get you signed up on the platform, get you investing. And it becomes really important because there's literally 4 steps in this process. Sign up, complete your profile, fund your wallet, and invest. And the whole intention is to get your first payday within 30 days. So we've done a lot of the learning now, but now it's time for actual results in terms of that. And, it doesn't take a long time. It's less than an hour a week for 4 weeks, and you get it all set up. And we tend to joke with people, this can be your get out of jail free card. And why we say that is because it's about belief. It's about actually realizing that this is possible. The next thing is knowledge. Now, the second step along the road is knowledge, which is wealth going global. Now, you've done that. You've just completed it. And today we're doing the bonus module for you. And so you've been through some of the most in-depth knowledge that we put together. Then we got the plan. And something that I'm excited to share is that we're going to have a workshop on the 15th and 16th of November. And if you're watching the recording, it'll, watch the space. I'm going to do them about every 3 months. And we're going to go through the secret investor language, why employees, entrepreneurs often don't speak investor, the 4 key phrases and metrics every investor uses, and how to shift from income mindset to freedom mindset. Then we're going to go to know your numbers, control your destiny. We're going to go through the investor dashboard, the 5 numbers that you have to define your wealth journey, how to run your personal finances like a family office, the common traps that keep people stuck, how do you calculate your freedom number, and then design the plan to get there. So you've already got your plan, but now we're going to actually put all the numbers, the metrics and everything to set you up for success. And then finally, from numbers to freedom. So now it's about the plan, the access, and the system. It's about professionals and entrepreneurs who've actually shifted into the investor quadrant. And it's about creating a roadmap for 30, 90 to 365 days. So for me, the reason we're doing it in November is that we want to set people up for success going into the next year. And as I said, I intend to do it once a quarter so that every time anyone that's ever run a good business knows that you do quarterly planning. So once a quarter, I'll do this where people can invest 2 days of their time and they can get clear. We'll implement the 6 pillars to wealth, how to build your portfolio, and you'll get your freedom formula workbook. So as part of Wealth Going Global, you're all included in that process. Then we go to access, and I'm not going to go into this, but you know that you've got access to deals like the one I spoke about with self-storage, or the fact we're trying to find data centers at the moment. We've had the one in Manhattan, the one in London. So there's plenty of access to good quality deals. The system, well, you've got access to the system. That's our platform. You can go onto Migrate and you can invest in deals right now. There's London deals, there's American deals, there's a German deal coming, and you get access to all different types of assets in terms of it. And then the question is, now you've got the first 5 parts of this are all in place. My strong invitation and my strong recommendation is that you make sure that you continue to use the community, and you've really got 2 choices going forward from an accountability perspective. The first is that we've got the Wealth Hackers. And so the Wealth Hackers is all about an online digital community. And in that, we've built up a library resource. So we've got all the different asset classes. So, be it multifamily, industrial, office, co-living, retail, first mortgage debt, London residential, crypto, private equity, gold, silver. Every single one of these asset classes is a 90-minute plus minus lesson on that asset class, but it's also from a world-class partner so that you can start to understand them and have the ability to invest in those asset classes. That alone is worth over $15,000. There's currently 17 or 18 assets in asset class mastery. But we believe the most valuable part of Wealth Hackers is that you can turn up every Wednesday, and Alex, who's my partner, will hold you to account. He will help you with any questions around the platform and how to invest. He'll help you with the investor roadmap, the 30-day challenge. It's all about setting people up for success. And for me, to give you some interesting stats, if you try and do something on your own, according to Deepak Chakra, you've got a 50% or less chance of succeeding. If you do it with a husband, a partner, a wife, a friend, you've got about a 60% chance of succeeding. But if you do it in a like-minded community, you've got a higher than 70% chance of succeeding. And I don't know if you agree with me, but I find it really interesting that if you're in a community, you've got a 70% chance of succeeding. And if a bird flying in a flock can fly 70% further than a bird flying on its own, I don't believe that's a fluke. I think it's a correlation with the laws of nature. So my invitation to you, if you want to join the Wealth Hackers, it's a paid for community, and it runs on a monthly basis, and you've got access to all the materials. You've got access to the coaching and accountability, but we don't want to drop you. I promised you at the beginning of this program that we would always provide you with solutions. So this is an ongoing way for human connection and human community in terms of it. The other option is the final step is trust. And this is where we've just finished this. In fact, since I've seen you, it happened a couple of weeks ago, where for me, the best and only way to build trust properly is through face-to-face. So twice a year, we get together for a wealth weekend. And, this was the last one that we just did in September now, 2 weeks ago, in the beautiful Neisner, an incredible group. Alan, I see you online. I can see Alan's in that picture. Lots of fun, lots of learning, lots of incredible people. But really the value in coming to these are firstly that you get out of your comfort zone. So the next one is March 2026. That's actually a picture that I took from my boat with the dolphins. And why do you come? Well, our family office comes. So you get to learn from our family office. Again, family offices look after the wealthiest people in the world. Come and actually meet them in person, shake their hands. Next level learning and strategy, peer-to-peer mastermind, global perspective, but with local advantage, emotional and psychological wealth mastery. So everyone wants to invest all the time, but actually you need the psychology of investing in terms of that process. Tangible outcomes. So it's now about execution. It is by invite only. So only people that are part of the mastermind or Wealth Going Global or the Wealth Accelerator are actually able to join for that. And then we also have lots of fun. It's not only just working, we do some exclusive experience. But for me, the single reason we do it is trust. It's so that you trust yourself, you trust your partners, you trust your plan, and you trust the fact that you're actually going to get to that freedom number or whatever your actual outcome is that you're looking to achieve. And so that's how the Wealth Blueprint comes together. I would love it in the chat box if you could just type for me if it makes sense for you, if it doesn't make sense for you, because hopefully now you can see how everything has been put together. And if you're missing one of the pieces like belief, then I've shown you what you can do. Go to the investor roadmap. If you want knowledge, well, you've got Wealth Going Global. You've completed that. At the end of Wealth Going Global, you've got a plan. However, I want to go deeper into the plan, and I'm putting together a 2-day workshop called Know Your Numbers, so you can access that. You've got access to deals, information, and partners through the community already. You've got the platform, the accountability. Well, you've got two options. You can join the Wealth Hackers, or you can join the mastermind. And then finally, the trust. That's about face-to-face connection. Next year, the plan is to do one in South Africa in March and one in Europe in September. And ultimately, it gives you your wealth, your freedom, and your legacy. So I love this slide, and I think I've shown it to you before. In theory, everything's going to work like this, but in practice, it all goes a little bit chaotic. And just to remind you of why we created the mastermind 2.5 years ago was because most people that we found love the information, but they really would like to be a part of a community. They'd like someone to hold their hand. They'd like someone to do it with them so that they don't have to do it themselves. And this is the power of why this works so well.
No, this is extremely predictable. There's tons of research around it. Humans change 5 times faster in groups than they do with a one-on-one coach, consultant, or therapist in that case.
Wow.
So I started looking back at business models and people who had done this effectively over the generations. Masterminds aren't new, folks. They're not new at all. People have been doing this for thousands of years. And when you put a collection of people together who are all committed, all driven, and all so want to make the right changes happen, and you give them a leader to follow who's willing to get in the trenches with them, all of a sudden you start finding real, rapid life or business transformation. Now, this is
extremely the most important thing, and what he's basically saying there is that if you go in a group of like-minded people, you have a 5 times, you get there quicker, simpler, safer, 5 times faster, statistically 5 times faster. And so I don't believe when it comes to investing about speed, because I don't think there's anything, get rich quick schemes and stuff are complete rubbish. However, I do believe that by putting yourself in the right environment, you can go faster. You can accelerate. You can, in fact, go 5 times faster in terms of that process. Now, we call it Private Wealth Global. It's about getting results safely and simply, and it's a partnership between ourselves and our family office. And I've been through this. You can go watch the recording from Module 5 and Module 6. I can't remember exactly which one I went through. It was either Module 4, Module 5 that I went through this in detail. But basically, there's 9 steps to generational wealth, and we take you through it. So phase 1, we get you set up. Phase 2, we do all your planning. So this is much higher level planning than what you currently have. And then phase 3 is all about results. And this is really the accountability, the knowledge. So if you've enjoyed what you've got so far, I know a number of you have joined the mastermind. It's wonderful to have you on the journey already. But this really is the best way that I know to ensure that you take this knowledge and you turn it into results. And if you're interested, you can just go to that link, globallydiversifiedwealth.com/call, and chat with one of our colleagues. Okay. The reason that we give a results guarantee here is because as long as people do the steps, we know it works. And so we just take people through the process. And so we work with people for as long as it takes. We put our money in our mouth where it is to help them achieve their outcomes, as long as you're doing your part as well. Okay. So I did remind you of this at the end of module 6. At the end of any training, people are often overwhelmed, don't know where to start, information overload, blah, 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 blah. And so I gave you a solution. When I finished with Tony Robbins in 2010, 2011, he had a thing called creating lasting change. It was like, how do you take all this knowledge and how do you synthesize it and how do you implement it? And I basically said to you, I will give you creating lasting change, which has the 7 master steps to maximum impact, the keys to leadership, the 6 human needs, the skill of decision-making, the formula for happiness, and a scientific way to get results. I singly don't know how to help you any better in terms of the human dynamics. Tony Robbins is the best in the world at getting human results as a personal, there's a special word he uses, performance coach. And these are the 6 parts. Now, I got trained personally by him. I've put together a course it's his course. He taught me how to do it, and I'm giving it to you. And all I was asking for in terms of it was for you to give me a testimonial of what it's been like. You know, where were you? Because I promised you that coming on this journey, you would have Wealth Going Global would take you from the 99% over here, where people are uncertain, anxious, lack diversification, no passive income, financially stuck, to this side, which is the 1%, diversified, passive income, financial freedom, global citizen, etc. And all I ask for is that if you thought it was valuable, go and share it with the world. Go to Trustpilot. Maybe, Kelly, if you can put the link in for people. If you're watching the recording, go to Trustpilot, send us a video. For me, it's really important that we share the message with others, because there's a lot of rubbish out on the internet. And if you think this adds substance, then please share it with others so that they too can take advantage. Right. Who's ready to get into smart investing? I think that's a big enough recap of everything we've done for the last 6 modules. And hopefully, if nothing else, before I overwhelm you with all the excitement around the technology and where the world's going, I just wanted to anchor things for you and to make sure that you knew what the next steps would be. So hopefully it's clear for you. There's a couple of things you can do as a next step. 1 is you can join the Wealth Hackers. 2 is you can join the Mastermind. 3, if you just want to start investing on the platform, you can go to the investor roadmap. And either way, if you're not sure what to do, my strong recommendation is book a call and chat to the team. They're happy to help. So let's get straight into this one. What is the mission of smart investing? It's to use technology to make investing simpler and safer for you. So I'm going to change this now, and I'm going to change the presentation up here. And the reason being is that I have an entire presentation that I actually put together for my mastermind members. And I wanted to share this with you because I think it is so, so valuable. So there are 16 macro trends. You'll notice I have put the date on here. So if you are watching the recording, the reason being is that obviously these trends change. Although the thing I do find interesting is the very first time I did this talk, when I put it together for the very first time, was 2015. I'd been to Singularity. I'll tell you a story quickly. You can see me properly. I'd been to Singularity University. Now, Singularity University is on the NASA campus. It's in Silicon Valley. It's the leading thought leader around the world in terms of exponential technology and where the world's going and where the latest opportunities are in terms of that process. And I went there. I did an executive program there with literally the best in the world. And I came back and I actually put a presentation together to teach people all these major trends. And what's so interesting to me is that the trends 10 years ago have accelerated, but haven't changed. The majority of them haven't changed, which I find absolutely fascinating. So let me go through these trends for you. And let me show you how they're intersecting and creating this generational opportunity. We call it Wealth 5.0. And I want to start with a little video here. Now, believe it or not, back in 2015, we also launched this video. And it's a really important video because this shows you what we endeavored back in 2015 to build. And you know the thing I'm so excited about? Everything that we talk about here 10 years later is built. Enjoy.
We'd like to introduce you to a revolution unlike any other throughout the history of mankind. This is a wealth revolution, and it's going global. Did you ever think that you'd be able to benefit from the only real, time-honored investment mankind has ever known? Real estate. Real estate investing has only ever been accessible to a small percentage of the world's population. This is no longer the case. The wealth revolution means that wherever you are on your wealth journey, be it taking your first steps or taking off globally, you can join our global community, a community of real estate investors just like you. The Global Wealth Group is experiencing exponential growth, and wealth has never been this accessible. A truly global wealth revolution. We dream big, and our dream is to impact the lives of 1 billion people. 1 billion people. How will we do this? Through groundbreaking digital platforms that allow investors like you to take part in exciting real estate investment opportunities. These opportunities are waiting for you everywhere, anywhere, worldwide. Now you can invest in real estate with any amount of money, from the comfort of your couch or your internet device. Introducing our global brand ecosystem. Wealth Create, Wealth Migrate, Wealth University, The Wealth Movement. WealthCreate.com is a platform for those taking their first steps on the wealth journey. The new investors who earn whilst they learn using real or virtual currency. Imagine this. Now anyone can own part of a hospital, a share in their local shopping mall, co-invest in a new and exciting development, or even earn quarterly returns from residential and commercial tenants. They, you, can now stand alongside multi-millionaire investors and earn the same relative amounts. WealthMigrate.com is a platform for those investors who are already soaring, as well as those who seek to join them. You can now own and manage a global portfolio of commercial real estate and do it all online. You'll benefit from the capital growth of your investments and get paid quarterly dividends in first world currencies, whether they be from commercial tenants or the funding of developments. The global dashboard shows all available opportunities, potential investment pledges, upcoming deals, and most importantly, allows you to manage your global diversified portfolio in one place. Passports and visas also become easier to obtain, as well as tax-efficient structures that allow global flexibility. Create the freedom you desire for you and your family. WealthUniversity.org is a video-based e-learning platform for those who want their wealth knowledge to take off. Our research shows that the wealth mindset is the single most important aspect of creating and sustaining wealth. Test your wealth IQ and challenge friends and family to find out theirs. Acquire the thinking, secrets, habits, and proven success strategies used by the world's wealthiest investors, as well as that of our global community, who aren't just talking about it, but are actually creating it. Graduate and change your destiny and your future. WealthMovement.com is the global gathering of our fans and followers in conferences hosted in local cities around the world, inspiring minds to help each other create more sustainable global wealth. The goal? To build a wealthier world together, and together to help reduce the wealth gap between the haves and the have-nots. Gain the latest up-to-the-minute knowledge of technology forecasts, internet finance, exponential thinking, collaborative smart investing, co-creation, apps and platforms, global wealth forecasts, cryptocurrencies, and new and exciting investment opportunities. This is your chance to meet your global wealth partners, co-investors and friends. to be inspired by the world's wealthiest individuals, and to learn to think how they do. We are pioneering a global wealth revolution. Join us. Let's change the world.
I hope you enjoyed that. And for me, that's exactly why we are doing this bonus is the invitation to join us in the wealth movement in terms of not only for yourself, but in terms of changing the world. I shared with you my why in terms of, the story with my father, my love for technology, loving monopoly and bringing it all together, with the wealth gap and bringing technology and property together and effectively solving the wealth gap. And so here's another little video, which we made a couple of years ago. Hopefully you started all seeing it come together. And what I'm about to share with you now is something that, like I said to you, I've been working on for 10 years and I keep updating it. Now, I love this quote by Napoleon, one of the greatest generals ever. And he said, the right information at the right time is 9/10 of any battle. So I've been scouring the world for certainly more than a decade. In my case, it's been 28 years to always learn what is the latest information. And it's so interesting because things happen. And this morning I got asked at the radio station, they were like, has AI accelerated what you do? And I said, no. It's great, but it's nowhere near had the same impact as COVID did. Because when COVID happened, you basically found this place where like the market crashed in like London by sort of, in like 2008, you had this crash here. And people always kind of look at this and the market sentiment is always people's sentiment. Okay, but what actually happens is that it drives people up the user engagement scale, because you can see here, if you take the internet, so down the bottom here, you've got time, and on the left here, you've got consume, participate, transact, and invest. So we started using the internet with publishing, and then we went to social media, and then we went to e-commerce, like buying stuff online, and now we're moving to investing online, which is called social commerce. And if you think about it, you've got social media, which is effectively coming together with e-commerce. It's called social commerce. I do warn you, there's a number of things I'm going to share with you today you might never have heard of before, which is fine. I want to tell you where the world's going. I promise to share with you what is smart investing and where is the world going. And this is all about an increasing in share wallet, stickier money, annuity income. This is where the world is going. So why was COVID such a push in the right direction for this? Well, I always joke, this was a screenshot I took during COVID. It was me and all my mates from UCT. Half of these guys were corporate people. They'd never had an online meeting in their lives. As an entrepreneur, I remember we were having online meetings in 2007. We couldn't afford to do telephone calls, so we were using Skype. But what happened is COVID forced everyone to do this. Even stock exchanges around the world were forced to do online AGMs. And what's so interesting is this is known as the adoption curve. And in the beginning, you got the innovators, then you got the early adopters, then you got the early majority, then you got the late majority, and then you got the laggards. And the whole key in business is to get to this like early majority, this kind of somewhere in this region here. They call it crossing the chasm. The challenge is that when someone wants something, that's called pleasure. But you move 4 times more away from pain than you do towards pleasure. Okay, so again, if you want something, like that's nice, you go towards it. But if you got pain behind you, you move 4 times more away from pain. So what did COVID cause? Well, it just caused the adoption. And if you take Uber as a great example, like Uber, it doesn't have any cars, but it's the biggest transport company around the world. And you compare it to where people sit. A lot of people have excuses but actually it's about being resourceful. And so something like COVID comes along and people got resourceful. Like they didn't have the opportunity to make excuses. They didn't have the opportunity to stay in the old ways. And it's a bit like Uber. Once everyone's used Uber, it's like, why would I ever not use Uber? It makes no sense. So it's about getting that resourceful. And that's what Wealth 5.0 is all about. Because if you look here, you've got your impact. Like, what is the impact that you're having on the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals? How much creativity, like how much value are you creating in the world? How high touch are you? How much are you using collaborative smart investing and live webinars and community and wealth weekends and everything else? How much tech are you using? And then finally, what problems in the world are you actually solving in terms of future proof? That is what Wealth 5.0 is all about. So let me explain to you what we built. So we built a platform in the middle, and it's our technology platform. We call it WealthPoint. It's our wallets and our compliance. We then built Wealth Migrate. So Wealth Migrate is a global, you can see here, you've got global marketplaces and you've got real estate. Over here, you've got diversification. Here, you've got community, and here you've got genres. We then built the Wealth Movement, which was our first major global community. Then we built the Wealth University. That's what most of you already know. Then we built Private Wealth Global, which effectively was our private banking system. With time, and in the last year or so, we've been trying to build the genres. So things like millennials and wealth, women and wealth, Sharia and wealth, business owners and wealth, yachties and wealth. And in the future, we haven't done it yet, but in the future, we will build Wealth Create, which will be local investing in local opportunities. And then with time, once we've done it once, we'll roll it out around the world. So that's the framework. That's the game plan. If you said to Scott in 2015, what was the crystal ball? The cool thing is that is all built. Everything that you see on the screen now is built. And now it's just finding the right partners to roll out the other alternatives. So we've already got things like Women and Wealth. I strongly recommend, maybe Kelly, if you want, you can put up the chat room for anyone that wants to join the Women and Wealth. It's a lovely movement around the world. Farmers, we've got Farmers and Wealth. We've got business owners and wealth. So these are all communities, like subsets, because where the world's going, and I'm about to teach you this, it's all about personalization. And we've even got millennials and wealth that Alex is going to be championing in the near future. So we call it the Amazon of personal wealth. And the question I ask people is, can you afford not to be part of this? Because it's really, really exciting. And that's why my invitation to all of you is to become a partner. We call it a wealth movement partner. Become a partner, become part of the future. Become part of the change that you want to seek. I know people like Alan and myself have conversations all the time about the industry is broken and it needs to change. But we've got two options in the world. We can sit and complain, or we can do something about it. And the wealth movement is here to do it. In fact, the tagline for the wealth movement is to create a better and more sustainable planet for all. Let me say that again. Create a better and more sustainable planet for all. That's what the wealth movement is all about. Now, what I will share with you is that when you invest in companies, often you only get invited to invest in a company once it's already IPO'd on a stock market, something like Facebook or Amazon. The very wealthy people get access to like what's called private equity opportunities, and that's where they're going through the scale phase. And then you've got companies like in their growth phase, like Wealth Migrate. And then you kind of got startups, which is where, it's often called friends, families, and fools. And that's where you give your money to your younger nephew who has an idea to start a business but has never run anything in their lives. The way to make money, ideally, is to get into a growth stage business. It's already got traction, it's already got revenue, it's already got customers, it's already got proof of concept, and it's in the growth phase. And then when the private equity opportunities come involved, then that goes to the next level. And so this just is a representation of what it looks like and the investment scale of where to invest. So I have a question for people. And again, if you are watching the recording, you'll have to click on the link below. But I want to just share to make this a bit fun. If I put up a poll, I've only got one screen today. Just give me 2 seconds. Just want to put up my poll. So my question for you is, would you like to be a shareholder in what we do as a company? And I'm about to share with you the 16 trends, how they're interlinking, and why I believe it's a generational opportunity. And I certainly have put my money and my life, because literally the last 2 decades of my life behind us. And if you want to join us, I'd love to know. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to ask this question at the beginning, and I'm also going to ask it at the end, because you'll see why the world is changing and why there are so many opportunities in the world, but you got to know where to look and how to look. Okay. So what is an exponential organization? An exponential organization is a company that grows 10 times faster than its compatriots. And there are components to an exponential. I could do an entire webinar on this. And by the way, if you're interested in this stuff, I would strongly recommend that you go and read the book, EXO, Exponential Organization. And in simple terms, if you're a business owner, you should really know about it. But on the left-hand side, you've got ideas, which means you've got to have interfaces, dashboards, experimentation, autonomy, and social. And on the right-hand side, you've got scale, staff on demand, community and crowd, algorithms, leveraged assets, and engagement. The most important thing is to have an MTP, massive transformative purpose. Now, when they go and they look at the companies around the world that have had higher growth than anyone else, they tend to score high on the EXO scale. And those that don't are the kind of the more linear option in terms of that. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Just by the way, Wealth Migrate scores about, it's about 80%, somewhere between 70 and 80% in terms of an EXO. No one's ever 100%, but we are well ahead of the curve because we've got a massive MTP, solve the wealth gap. We use interfaces, we've got dashboards, we use experimentation, we've got autonomy, we're a very social business, we use staff on demand, we've built our entire company on community, we use algorithms on the back end, we leverage assets, and we really advance engagement. So obviously we're not perfect in all of them, but we use literally all 11 items we actually use. So this is a fun little quiz that I like to use for people because it always wakes people up. Who is Ronald Wayne? Just type in the chat box for me. And again, if you watch the recording, just think about it. Who is Ronald Wayne? So I got no idea, don't know him. It's really interesting. So Ronald Wayne was the third shareholder of Apple. And there's this funny thing, if you ever think you're having a bad day, because in 1976, Ronald Wayne sold his 10% stake in Apple for $2,300. And it's worth $70 billion. So this is a classic example of the right information at the right time. And I love to share this with you because it's about getting your attention and saying, look, getting the right information at the right time is really, really important. And that's why I wanted to share it with you. So, if you look at Delta, it's the oldest airline in the world. It's been around since 1925. It employs the most people. It has the most planes, and it goes to the most cities around the world and the most countries. You compare it to Uber. Uber is 3 times its value. It has 10% of its staff, and it's in double the amount of cities. It's like an incredible comparison. When you compare Marriott hotels, again, the oldest hotel group in the world, the biggest, and got the most rooms by any hotel group. And then you've got Airbnb. Again, it's got less than 10% of the staff of Marriott. It's worth double in terms of the market value. And on top of that, it's got nearly 3 times the amount of beds around the world, and they don't own any property. And so when you look at all of these different companies, there's really 3 things that technology's done. It's cut out the middleman, it's cut out the costs, and it's dramatically increased the trust, the transparency, and the accessibility. So if you look at any one of these companies, it could be Apple, it could be Amazon, it could be Uber, it could be Bitcoin, it could be Alibaba, EasyJet, TripAdvisor, Facebook, Airbnb, Google, doesn't matter. What did they do? They cut out the middleman, they cut out the costs, and they dramatically increased the trust, the transparency, and the accessibility. So what I just shared with you is when you look at Uber, which is the world's largest taxi company, and Facebook, which is the world's most popular media owner, and Alibaba, that's the most valuable retailer, and find Airbnb, that's the world's largest accommodation provider. And none of them own vehicles, content, inventory, or real estate. So what do they have in common? Come on, help me out. I want some engagement today. I've been speaking for 2 weeks. And so Marge says tech. You're nearly right. Nossi says tech. It's one level deeper. They're all data companies. They're all data companies. They're driven by data. Data is the new gold in terms of that process. So I can see tech, connection, social media, their assets are intangible. Yeah. And you're all right. They're all right. But the key thing here is that it's data. And so the other lesson that is really interesting is whenever there's a big problem, like when you've got an industry that is inefficient, then it represents a massive opportunity. So if you take the taxi industry, it was massively inefficient. It was expensive. It was a horrible experience. And then Uber came along and it just cleaned up because it was just so much better. Well, when you think of the property industry, how inefficient is the property industry? How behind is the property industry? How difficult is the property industry? How inaccessible is the property industry? It represents a massive opportunity for disruption with regards to the technology space. And that's why, we at Wealth Migrate, sitting right here in the growth phase, believe that there's such a significant opportunity around the world in terms of technology completely enhancing and changing this property industry and the other alternative assets. So when one looks at new power, this is a really interesting model. So if you look here on the bottom here, you've got old power values. So these are companies that are run the old way, top-down command and control. And then on the right-hand side, you've got new power, which is all about community, experimentation, working together, etc. Then at the bottom here, you've got old power model. So this is how they make money. It's all about command central. And then you've got the new power model, which is like Uber that helps people make money, by driving their cars, or Airbnb that helps people make money by renting their houses out. So what they are is actually a facilitator helping other people make money in terms of that process. So you can see here, you've got connectors, crowds, castles, and cheerleaders. The one I always like to use is the Encyclopedia Britannica. Most of us had encyclopedias when we were kids, and it was controlled by one office. A bunch of clever people wrote everything down. Nowadays, you've got Wikipedia, 20 million people around the world, all contributing. The information is much more up to date. It's much better, and it's free. So if you want to know more about it, it's all in this book called The New Power Book. And Richard Branson actually spoke a lot about how valuable this book was. I took that model and I added to it. So you can see it's the same model, but on the left-hand side here, you've got return. So it goes from bottom to top. And at the top, you've got global and purposeful. So it goes from left to right. You've got exponential, which goes from bottom to top. And you've got short-term risk. So in the beginning, short-term risk goes left to right. So if you take Encyclopedia Britannica or Wikipedia, you can see Britannica's bottom left, Wikipedia top right. If you take Marriott Hotels, they're bottom left, Airbnb top right. If you take Barnes & Noble, which is a book company, that would be bottom left. And you've got Amazon, which is top right. And then if you take sort of the traditional property company, they're bottom left. And then you've got a platform like Wealth Migrate that is top right. Now, what's interesting is you can see that this group has the highest return, the highest global and purposeful, and the highest exponential. But in the beginning, they got short-term risk. But actually, long-term risk goes the other way, because these older school models are falling apart. And this is where the future is actually going. And that's why I wanted to share with you and just show you some of these trends, because I think it's so interesting. I love this. You guys are gifting me a massive experience to share this with you. And I lost 11,000 pounds back in 2003. I was scammed buying rugby tickets. And so I learned very quickly how to buy stuff online. And what's interesting is that when I go and buy a rugby ticket, you can see here on the right-hand side that this person, 7104 Leslie, has done 974 transactions and has 100% positive feedback. Do you realize that I can buy a ticket from this person and I have a much better chance of success than probably even buying it from my brother? Now, when you come to investing or buying anything or going to a restaurant or going on a holiday, it's called social proofing. We're all used to it. You can go see the stars, you can read all the engagements, you can get all the feedback as to whether they're good or bad. And I always say to people, whether it's Amazon or Alibaba or any of them around the world, why don't we have it for investing? Why don't we build it? So this is one of the projects we're in the process of wanting to build into our platform. where when you look at a partner, like how long's that partner been in business? How many projects have they done? What's their niche? How much money do they actually have invested in the deal? What are the risks of investing in this project? What's their responsiveness to communication while going through this project? What's the timing of dividends? What's the accuracy of returns? And then have a ranking. But it's not a ranking from me, Scott. It's a ranking from the community. Like, what is this ranking as a partner? Because ultimately, Wealth Migrate wants to have lots of quality partners on the platform. And as a community and track record, the partners are being vetted, just like on any other platform. Then we've got badges. And a good example, there's 10 different badges, and one of them is due diligence. And it'll be just like Wikipedia. Everyone's not the same. It's not a one man, one vote. If someone's got 10 years of experience and they've done wealth going global and they've, a really experienced person, then their opinion of a due diligence is much better. But why should all the due diligence be done at a head office level? It shouldn't. It should be done, it should be community crowdsourced, just like Wikipedia. And then something I was asked again on my radio interview this morning is, what about investor networks? Why can't people play together? Why can't people invest together? Why can't they compete and learn? People love doing this. So you join investment circles. And so these are all things that are in our pipeline to build to enhance the user experience and the engagement. And imagine in your investment groups, how's this working? How can we do this? You're competing with each other, but ultimately helping everyone go through it. And when you look at how to build a community, the old power values, where it was just about complying and consuming, like literally a financial services company, all they did was comply. They did what they had to by according to the regulator, and then they helped, they want to sell you lots of stuff. But the new power behaviors, it's about sharing, it's about affiliating, it's about adapting, working together, it's about funding, it's about being an investor, actually becoming a shareholder in the company. It's about producing, and ultimately it's about shaping. So it's all about ownership, collaboration, co-creation, and community in terms of that process. Now, one of the things that Peter Diamante says is the world's biggest opportunities are the world's biggest, the world's biggest problems are the world's biggest opportunities. Now, in business, like if you want to make money in business, find a problem and solve it. And what's interesting is that they always say that the fastest way to be $1 billion company is to help 1 billion people. Now, I find it really weird because I learned this in 2015 from Peter Diamandis, but I'd already done it in 2013. So 2 years before that, my book came out. And if anyone wants to dispute it, they can go read my book, Property Going Global. And I said, there's only 1 billion people on the planet that currently have access to property, residential property. We did the maths. And I said, why don't we double it? And the essence behind the wealth movement was, let's double it. Let's empower 1 billion people to get access to property, and more specifically now, commercial property and other alternative assets. And when people say to me, Scott, you've gone literally crazy. And I go, yes and no. Because the way to build exponentials and to build exponential companies is that ultimately there's a number of things here. So these are slides from when I was at Singularity University. But the most important thing is to take a bunch of technologies that are all coming together and converging. I'm going to talk to that just now. And the second thing is to ask better questions. And it's really important to understand exponentials, because in the beginning, when an industry changes, it gets digitized. So let's use Uber because everyone knows Uber. So in the beginning, Uber comes out, it's 2008. A couple of people in Silicon Valley have figured out a way to use your smartphone to ask for a car. No one cares. But there's deceptive growth. Okay, like they're growing fast. But again, around the world, taxi industries don't care. No one knows. Then suddenly they become disruptive. Suddenly you start seeing on the news that taxis are striking in London and New York and Johannesburg and wherever else. And that was the worst thing they ever did. Because what did that do? Put Uber on the map. Everyone was suddenly like, oh, wow, what is this Uber thing? And then over time, they basically dematerialized, demonetized, and democratized. So what that basically means is that now anyone that has a smartphone has access to a private driver. Now, I think this is really cool. But this is a pattern that every industry goes through. So I've got a question for you. And I just want to go grab a quick water. Where are we in this scale when it comes to property and investing? Are we in the digitized space? Are we in the deceptive phase? Or are we in the disruptive phase? Do me a favor, type in the chat box. I'm just going to grab water. So what did everyone say? Let's see what everyone thought. So we're in the disruptive. Interesting. I would go a little bit actually earlier than that, and I'd say we're still in the deceptive phase. I think that the old school industry is not aware of the power of the likes of a Wealth Migrate, etc. And when you compare our market share, but we're growing very fast. And when I say we, not just us, the industry at large, but it's still not yet properly disruptive of the financial industry, but it's coming. And the reason I'm showing you this is where the opportunity lies. The opportunity lies to get into businesses in this deceptive phase with high growth that are moving towards disruption to literally change an industry and ultimately to democratize access to wealth. So hopefully as you start to see me teach this stuff, you'll start to realize I'm a little bit less crazy than you actually thought I originally was. So this is a very important lesson. So when I went to Singularity University, I learned from a guy called Ray Kurzweil. Now, Ray is known around the world as the father of AI, by the way. He's also known as the best futurist in the world. Okay, so for something, he has some ridiculous stat. I can't remember it exactly, but it's like he's predicted like 83% of the big inventions that have come out, and he hasn't just predicted them, he's predicted them to the year. Okay, that's really quite a thing. And he wrote a book called Singularity on how effectively technology and humans were converging and how AI was going to overtake humans by 2030. Now, why this is important is that I learned from him personally. I sat in the room with him. And he spoke about the story, and I'm just going to stop sharing so you can see what I'm talking about here. So he spoke about the story of convergence. And by the way, if you're not paying attention, this is that moment in life to pay attention. Trust me. So he spoke about the convergence. And he said, what happens is you got one technology growing like this, and you got another technology growing like this. And where the opportunity lies is in this convergence, where my hands are now. That's where the opportunity lies. Now, if you can get a third technology going or a mega trend, wherever you got convergence is where massive opportunity lies. So he gave the example of Siri, you know, Siri on our cell phone, Siri. And he said they built this company and they literally went, voice activation is growing, smartphones are growing, and AI is growing. And so they built Siri, and then within 18 months, they sold it to Apple for about $300 million. And everyone was astounded because it was like, how do you build a company and sell it in 18 months for $300? And the answer is convergence. And what I'm sharing with you today, everything I'm sharing with you today is going to show you convergence so that you can decide where the world is going. And I promised you I would share with you the future of smart investing. I'm going to show you the massive trends. I'm going to show you the massive investor trends as well. And then I will show you where the intersections are, and you get to decide what you're actually going to do with that. So a second lesson he taught is what's called a Netscape moment. So before 1995, the internet had actually been around since the 70s. Most people don't know that. But no one really used the internet other than tech, like sort of geeks. And a thing like Netflix came out. And what did Netflix do? It just made it easy for all of us to go out and use the internet. It was the first proper interface. They call it the Netflix moment, because the moment it was made easy for everybody, it took off. And what's so interesting is if you look at the internet usage around the world, I mean, it's more than 50% of the world now use the internet, smartphones. You all know it. I don't need to read it all to you. But I mean, there's very few people, certainly that you know, I know, that are not using the internet literally in every part of their life. So the growth over 30 years has been exponential. Why? Because it had easy accessibility. Take Amazon. I know someone in the chat said they don't like Amazon. Well, you can love them or you can hate them, but their growth is phenomenal. How did they do it? Well, they attracted more customers. They thought long-term. They never thought either or. So many people are either or thinkers. They think both in terms of that process. And, you know, Jeff Bezos said, you must be willing to fail. You will have to be willing to think long-term, and you'll have to be willing to be misunderstood for long periods of time. And when you consider the growth of Amazon, and forget about him as a person being the wealthiest person in the world, if you'd put $10,000 pre-IPO into Amazon, today it'd be worth $20 million. That is what convergence is all about. That is spotting long-term trends. It didn't happen quickly. It took 20, 25 years, but that is what convergence is all about. What about Naspers? Naspers is a media company out of South Africa who used to own all the old newspapers, and they went to China, and they invested $32 million in a little company called Tencent, and they bought a 46% stake. Today, it is deemed the best private equity investment ever, because they're the biggest company in China, and their stake is worth 120 billion in terms of that process. Now, to put in perspective, if you put $10,000 in 2001, it'd be worth nearly $60 million today. You're starting to get an idea of how important these trends are. If you look at Amazon, Alibaba, Elon Musk, and Naspers, if you'd given them all $10,000 in the year 2000, by 2020, so 20 years later, it'd be worth 274 million, 108 million, 40 million, and 55 million. Now, do me a favor in the chat box. Are you getting the message of how important it is to understand these long-term trends? And equally, that it doesn't happen overnight, but that when you understand these long-term trends, there can be real opportunity. And so I want to share with you the 16 trends. There's 8 technology trends, and there's 8 societal trends that are intersecting. There's also 6 mega wealth trends. And I'm going to show you how all of them are converging and where the opportunity lies. Are you keen? Are you interested? This is a lot of information. I understand that it is being recorded. Someone asked me. But what I'm sharing with you, in my opinion, is some of the most valuable information I can share with you, because this is where the world is going. And what I find absolutely fascinating is I was doing this 10 years ago, and not a lot has changed. It's just accelerated, which basically means in the next 10 years, what I'm sharing with you now is going to still be around, I guarantee it, but it's going to have accelerated even more, which means there's even more opportunity in the next 10 years than there's been in the last 10 years. So the first one in the 8 technology trends is blockchain. It's solving trust. Number 2 is artificial intelligence. It's connecting us with the world's intelligence. Number 3 is big data, algorithms, and quantum computing, helping people make smart investments. Number 4 is VR and AR, experience the reality. Number 5 is O2O. So that's online to offline, connect with the best in the world. Mobile phone adoption, probably goes without saying, probably been one of the biggest growths in the last 10 years. 3D printing, reducing costs drastically, and the digital layer, IoT, and bringing it all together. So let's go into these in a little bit more detail, because I think it's important you understand them. So the first one is blockchain. And a lot of people don't understand blockchain, and I've got a beautiful little video to share with you what blockchain is. But I'm quite proud to tell you that we were the very first platform in the world, real estate platform, property platform in the world, to be on the blockchain in 2016. So this is something we learned about it in 2015. We implemented it in 2016. It's been something that we've understood for a decade. And I will say one thing, by 2025, I thought the whole world would be on blockchain. I'm surprised it hasn't. And the only reason it hasn't is the regulators have held back on it. And the big banks and the legacy businesses that still hold all the purse strings have not allowed it. But look at this video and you tell me why blockchain will literally dramatically change your life, change the world for the better based on trust.
This is the seller. This is the buyer. This is the middleman. Cutting out the middleman can be a great thing, unless you're the middleman. And there are a lot of middlemen or intermediaries out there. Entire industries, such as payments or securities clearing, have evolved to rely on them. Why? Because they establish trust where there is none. They establish ownership, that the seller has the right to sell what's being sold. They attest to history, that there is a clean transaction history. And they certify ability, that the buyer has the money to buy it. All pretty critical details when you don't know the person on the other side of the transaction. Intermediaries know and trust one another. Their business is based on it, so they have more to lose than gain from breaching that trust. But what if there were a better, cheaper middleman? One that didn't add as much cost, complexity, and chance for error? There might be. It's called blockchain, and it has the potential to disrupt the entire ecology of intermediaries. It's a distributed ledger that relies on large networks of computers that redundantly encode transaction data by solving complex mathematical equations. The secure ledger provides an inviolable record. If the history of an instrument is incorruptible and available to all parties, there's no need for a third party to vouch. Blockchain is proof of ownership, history, and ability in non-centralized encrypted form. It's fast, transparent, and free of error. The question is not whether blockchains can cut out the middlemen in complex transactions, but rather which middlemen and when.
Don't you think that's cool? I mean, can you see how that is going to change the world? Like, you know, the moment I learned about that in 2015, I was like, this is a no-brainer. And for me, the video I just played you is the best video I found anywhere in the world, because blockchain can be complex, but I love that. It's simple, it's sweet, it's easy to understand. It's only Alan and I that think that it's amazing. Now, just if you look at the industries that are going to be disrupted by blockchain, well, it's the ones that are the most inefficient. It's the ones that are intermediaries. Well, which are those? The banking industry, I think that goes without saying, it's one of the most inefficient. I've never met anyone that likes their bank and likes the banking process. And the real estate industry, literally number 1 and 2. They are the two that are most ripe for disruption. Now, what does disruption mean? Money. Disruption means opportunity in terms of where the world's going. So I'm going to give you, I don't have time today to go into all the details. You will have this all in your slides, but ultimately here's some cheat sheets on blockchain. So you can see it's all about the trust layer, enabling everything. And you can go through this. I'm not going to read this all out to people, but the real world adoption is accelerating. Supply chains are being revolutionized by blockchain. Major brands use it to trace products, fighting counterfeiting, boosting sustainability, ensuring ethical sourcing. Healthcare, finance, voting systems, and real estate are integrating blockchain for secure record keeping and identity verification. It's about digital ownership, so it's all about owning what you've got. And you can see it's being refined through tokenization. So that's where you take real world assets like real estate or art, and you actually own a piece of it. So it's all the big words: tokenization, fractionalization, blockchain. All they really are is technology coming to the space in terms of that process. And more and more institutions, so governments and central banks. One of the reasons property hasn't worked yet, I know it's starting in places like Dubai, and there's a couple of states in America and a couple of places in Eastern Europe. But the point is, you have to have your deeds office. If you think about it, your deeds office has to be on the blockchain before it's going to be accepted properly. And there's been massive resistance around the world to this. You got your decentralized finance, but by 2030, experts predict over 10% of global GDP will be stored on the blockchain. You do the maths. I can guarantee you right now, it's less than 0.0001%. How much opportunity do you think there is in the next 5 years where something's going from less than 0.0001% to 10% of global GDP? We're heading towards a decentralized, trust-based digital economy where every transaction has built-in transparency and verification. Right, and just by the way, I want to just give you a quick demo here. So, because I like to show real-world examples of this. So if you sign in to the Wealth Migrate platform, and I go to my portfolio, I can go to any one of my deals. So let's just go down to, I don't know, one of these deals here. And I can go down and I can see my documentation and I can see my investment record. So it's just generating the file here. I can now download my investor file. So you got access. So there's the signed subscription agreement and everything. But if you go right down to the end, right at the bottom, oh, was it not going down then? There we are. You've got my digital certificate of like everything I own, where it is, like everything. Boom, all in one place. So that's exactly what I'm talking about in terms of where the world's going. In terms of AI, AI is the darling at the moment. Everyone's talking about AI. I must admit, I have been astounded by how quickly it's changed in the last a couple of years, 2 years. But Ray Kurzweil said artificial intelligence will reach human levels of by 2029. By the way, this is a slide from 2015. Follow that out further to say by 2045, we will have multiplied the intelligence, the human biological machine intelligence of our civilization by a billion-fold. Now, back in 2015, I was like, yeah, dude, whatever's. The way that it's accelerated from 2023 to 2025, I can completely believe by 2029 that artificial intelligence will be cleverer than humans. Now, what's the economic impact? There's 15.7 trillion contribution by 2013 going into this industry, and it's going to add 15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. So that's productivity of 6.6 trillion and increased consumer demand of 9.1 trillion. The AI market is projected to grow 33% year on year in 2025. In 2024, over 25% of US startups went into AI companies, 12% just from a few years earlier. The adoption of AI, 63% of global organizations plan to adopt AI by 2027. 74% are currently piloting or using AI. Generative AI, like ChatGPT, has boosted workplace productivity by 126%, especially in coding, writing, and customer service. Workforce productivity, by 2025, AI is expected to displace 85 million jobs, but create 97 million new ones for a net gain of 12 million. AI could increase labor productivity by 1.5 percentage points globally over the next decade. Consumer ethical, 76% of consumers express concern about misinformation, highlighting urgent need for ethical standards. The training of a single large AI model can emit as much carbon as 5 gasoline-powered cars over their lifespan. And AI in everyday use, 77% of digital devices now use AI in some form, yet most users don't realize how deeply integrated AI has become in their daily tech. And I like to show this picture. So earlier this year, I wanted to do a thing for my son, and I called it Dad's Discoveries. And I if you notice here, like I'm really bad at spelling, but ChatGPT couldn't even spell. So whenever I did a picture, I quite liked the picture, but I always had to overlay it. You can kind of see I used Word or whatever just to kind of put pictures in because it just couldn't spell. It was impossible. Less than 6 months later, it now creates pictures for me with whole written text and everything else. And it's getting better and better. If you look at this. So, I mean, these are literally pictures I did in ChatGPT, with our logo and everything. And it just shows you the power of how fast this has gone. And this is literally this year in terms of this process. Right. The next one is big data. And this is one I talk a lot about because I've been talking about smart investing for a long time. So, whether you got our investor test or whether you use the Wealth EQ, you got to start off with who are you as an individual? What do you need? And what are the right investments? Then you use the GIDS model. Hopefully now you've all done Wealth Going Global. So GIDS, Global Investment Due Diligence System. And imagine now you know who you are as an individual, and then every deal is being tracked based on a similar standard. And what does that give you? It gives you smart investing. It helps you know what the right investments are for you and your family based on. So why this excites me is I've got a smartphone, I've got a smart watch, I've got a smart TV, a smart laptop. Why are we not using technology to invest? And this is what big data is all about. Nothing I'm telling you doesn't exist. The dating website at Tinder is exactly the same. It's you are this person looking for this person, and then the other person is this person. It matches you together, and that's what a dating website is. Imagine this is a dating website for investments. VR and AR. So VR is virtual reality and AR is augmented reality. So VR is where you put a headset on and it's a whole 360-degree experience. Whereas AR is where you might be wearing glasses as an example, or it's through your cell phone and you can literally see the real world and you can see it's augmented with other stuff. Now, again, when I did this and I kept these slides in, so back 10 years ago, 2015, these were augmented reality things that you can do this on Google, by the way. So that's my son with a tiger. And on the left-hand side, that's supposed to be a crocodile. It looks very like an alligator to me. And that's a lion. You can kind of see where that goes. Now, if you watch this methodology video, and I just want to go here quickly to show you. So This is where the world has gone now. It is unbelievable. Methodology. And it's unbelievable. I didn't spell it right. So look at this little video here. I'll play it for you quickly. No, wait, what am I just want to see if, where's the video gone that I want to show you? Yeah, this is what I wanted. I think you get the idea. Look at the progress that's happened. I mean, you walk through the whole house, you can change the colors, you can change the lighting, you can change the furniture, you can take a picture of a building, you can get rid of the furniture, you can put the furniture back in. You look at how it's improved in literally 10 minutes, in 10 years. Then you've got O2O, online to offline. So, you know, everything 20 years ago, everyone was like, go online, the .com. But actually where the real opportunity lies now is where you combine online to offline. Why do we do wealth weekends? It's exactly the same thing. So you've got the ability to invest online, but, you know, Alex turns up live, I turn up live, we do what we're doing right now, webinars. That's the mixture between online to offline, because this is live. And then on top of that, you can come and actually do face-to-face at like wealth weekends. And when you look at SoftBank, so SoftBank's the biggest venture capital company in the world. What did they invest in the last 10 years? They invested in all the companies that do both. So if you look at Uber's a classic example. Like, you've got an app that has completely revolutionized transport. But on top of that, you've also got drivers with physical assets. Like, I came here yesterday in an Uber, I sit in my car. That's what online to offline is, basically. And if you look, you know, again, without giving you too many lessons, but you've got Web 1.0, which kind of went to 2008. You got Web 2.0, which is 2008 to kind of 2018. And we're now in Web 3.0, which is all around this social commerce and this online to offline, what they call O2O. And it represents a significantly big opportunity. And, you know, one of the companies that's on our platform right now, a private equity investment, is the CarryFit people. And a good example of that is they've got a baby carrier for moms with babies, but they've also got an app with all the fitness and the community and the engagement and the advice and everything that moms want. And so you've got the benefit of online to offline. You've got both. In terms of connectivity and mobile phones, it's really interesting. You know, around the world, the growth in mobile phones has been massive, but also, you know, 4.2 billion new minds have been coming onto the internet that didn't used to have access. And so, you know, I don't think I need to talk too much about mobile phones. I think everyone understands the mobile phone. And where I come from in Africa, people now spend money on a mobile phone and on data, you know, before they'll go and buy shoes for their children, as an example. The next one is 3D printing. And this is a really interesting one, because it's probably the one that, you know, for me over the last 10 years, along with blockchain, has kind of been quite quiet and not really gone anywhere. And yet when I was in America recently, I met this guy and he actually showed me how they can build houses. Now, you want some interesting information. To build a house, the average house in America costs about $300,000. This gentleman can build a house, put the frame up, and have the entire thing built for $80,000. And he can do it they can print all this metal in 48 hours, and they can assemble it in less than 2 weeks. That's all the finishes, the plaster, the roofing, everything. So you're looking at a cost here of like 1/6 of the cost. And, you know, the average time to build a house is, you know, I don't know, 4 to 6 months. And they can do it in, hang on. So let's watch this little video quickly. So Jaco, I'm here with Jack, and this house here, it's a big shed to be fair, but it can be a low-income house. Tell us just a little bit about it. Like, I know you've just been telling me some amazing things, but I really want Jaco to hear this.
Yeah, so I was a previous builder in another lifetime before I was an attorney. And what we've realized is that stick building is just, there's just no money in it, and there's no way to do it because of the quality of the wood and everything else. So what we've done is we've taken some Howick machines, which are effectively
so just to look here, so like there it all is. It literally gets like printed here, basically.
Yeah, so basically what we do is we print all the components to the 32nd of an inch, with everything dimpled and ready to be screwed together. So you can see it's not just printing steel studs, but everything is pre-designed to go together in a perfect way. So every wall is flush, every wall is square, everything is exactly as it should be. And we can put, for example, one of these up in less than a couple hours. It prints off the machine in less than 30 minutes. And a house, let's say 1,000 square foot house, we could put one whole frame together in a day, easy. We could probably do 2 houses in a day. And then we can wrap it and sort of finish it off in another 2 days. So every 3 days, we can put about 1,000 square feet out the door. If it's narrow enough, you can put it on a truck and drive it where you want and lower it with a crane. If it's too wide, we can just do it in panelized sections and then put it together. But this is how we're sort of addressing the affordable housing problem in the United States right now.
2 quick questions, which I think are relevant. One was you said that this is open source software.
Correct.
And we could buy a machine and let's just say put it in Cape Town.
Yep.
And you guys could print like basically do the design, and we basically print and build in South Africa.
So all you would do is send us a plan. We would do all of the engineering and stuff here. You tell us where everything goes, every service hole, every duct, vent, whatever you want. We'll make sure it's all.
I think you get the point. Just by the way, type in the chat box. Can you see how that can solve housing around the world? And by the same opportunity, can you see what a massive opportunity that is in terms of being able to deploy and build houses all over the place and put up more affordable construction? Like it's massive in terms of that process. And these are real videos. Like I didn't even find that on the internet. That was me in the factory. You can hear my voice interviewing the guy. The 8th trend is the digital layer. And this is all about IoT, so Internet of Things. And this is becoming really real in the world. By 2025, digital twins, so virtual replaces physical objects, are expected to be widely used in the industry, from real estate to healthcare to urban planning. The digital layer is no longer optional. It's how businesses manage, monitor, and optimize operations. IoT is exploding at scale. The number of connected IoT devices, by the way, my watch, anyone that's got a smartwatch, that's an IoT. It's got all the devices. It's reading how fast I'm walking. It's reading how I'm sleeping, etc. Will surpass 30 billion globally by 2025. IoT is now the backbone for smart cities, homes, agriculture, logistics, energy systems, interoperability. So this is where it all works together. So like my watch is a great example of that. The biggest shift isn't just adding sensors, it's connecting them. Companies are moving from siloed systems to integrated platforms that share data across devices, departments, and organizations. Edge computing is rising fast, processing data locally rather than in distant cloud centers, reducing latency and increasing security. So this is all just like, again, all of these trends have been happening for 10 years, but they are accelerating now at pace. And you don't have to understand all this stuff. I'm just showing you what's happening and where these trends are intersecting. The impact on individuals and societies. Consumers are interacting with digital layer via wearables, voice assistants, smart homes, and more. Healthcare is a major beneficiary. Remote monitoring, predictive diagnosis, personalized treatments, IoT. And the economic opportunity, it's 1.5 trillion by 2030, and companies that master data integration and automation will dominate the industries. So, by the way, did you enjoy the first 8 technology trends? Do they make sense to you? Let's go into the 8 society trends. The first one is social commerce and collaborative investing. I did explain that just now, but it's where it comes together. So you've got social media and e-commerce is coming together. Collaborative investing is where we invest together. It increases returns and reduces risk for investors. The rise of the middle class in emerging markets. 3 billion unbanked people are joining the global economy through mobile adoption and internet connectivity. Globalization and local volatility, creating conditions where investors desire diversification across countries, assets, and currencies. Blockchain and cryptocurrencies. There's an increase in trust and massively reducing friction costs. Social pressure to democratize access to wealth, like everything that we stand for, empowering everyone to invest like the top 1%. Gamification. So this is while you have fun and you learn while you're doing, fundamentally changing the education system. Personalization and personal solutions for themselves and their families. People want the power to create freedom in their lives and have meaningful connection with their investments. And then finally, investors wanting to have purposeful impact on co-creating the planet. So, investing for good, basically, in simple terms. So let's go through these. I have already shared this with you, but I will share it again with you, where there's a whole LinkedIn article. And by the way, I'd recommend you go to my LinkedIn, just go to LinkedIn, look for Scott Picken. and follow me because I do put articles up. But this is something that I actually did my dissertation back on 1998 on. So I don't have time to go into it, but you've got craft production, mass production, lean production, digital production. And it's basically the different ways that things have been produced across the world over years. So what I did is I took the period, I took the type of production, I took the commerce, I took the compliance and the regulation, and I took a brand that you would recognize. So like when people talk mass production, most people know Ford Motor Company, like he reinvented making motor cars. Anyway, I've shown you how this adapts through the years. I've also shown you where the future is, and it's called collaborative smart investing. And a company like Wealth Migrate sits dead center at the middle of that. And if you want to understand this in a lot more detail, you can go read the article. You can literally click on it. I'll share this with you, but you can go read all about it. Like there's very few things that I talk about that I haven't already written about and shared with you. Okay, so when you look at the social commerce, it's interesting because this was an article I took out of one of the big financial houses, and they were like, DIY investing is fun but risky. You know, they're basically trying to show that the old way of doing things, the old world, you know, is still the right way, because they can see the disruption that's coming, you know, and, you know, people actually coming together, crowdfunding, crowdsourcing to invest in different deals. And you'll see here, like, again, Wealth 5.0, it's all about working together. It's all about collaboration. It's all about technology in terms of Wealth 5.0. The second one is the rise of the middle class. So you can see 2016 to 2025, there's been a 1.8 times growth across South Africa, China, India, Malaysia, Africa, Indonesia, and the Middle East. Now, why is this important? This is middle class investors. So large and young populations, population growth, GDP growth, urbanization, online adoption, fragmented supply. This is the market that we're most interested in around the world. This represents the biggest opportunity in terms of where the world's going. And what's happening is these digital platforms are starting to change the game of investing. Then you've got globalization. And what I find most interesting, one of the big trends I've noticed over the last 2 or 3 years, is that I've been helping people for 21 years from the emerging world invest into the first world. So places like South Africa investing into England. But what I'm finding more and more now is that people in the first world, in Europe, in England, and now more recently even in America, are going, hang on, I don't want all my money in America. I want to be able to invest in other countries as well. So there's more and more capital flows as people look around the world to protect their money and to diversification. And, you know, you can see here different articles. I lived through the collapse. America is already there. Billionaire Ray Dalio warns US it's in a period of great risk and says most important thing investors can do is diversify. I think I don't need to preach to you. You've all been through this course now. You know how important it actually is. Capital markets are not free. Billion investor Ray Dalio says the Fed is boosting asset prices. Valuation metrics don't apply and the US dollar is at risk. Blockchain and cryptocurrency. So I spoke of it as a technology trend, but I think it's also a social trend. And the reason it's a social trend is that the more and more people can trust online investing, the more they're going to adopt it. It's fairly self-explanatory in terms of that process. And there's more and more, you know, small companies you never heard of before, but that are starting to do this, you know, swapping digital assets for real estate, cross-border real estate investing powered by blockchain, the first stock exchange for real estate in the world, digitization democratizes real estate access, DigiShares for the world, disrupting the commercial real estate industry. How do you actually imagine being able to get like daily rents? So you can own a property or a piece of a property, but because it's on blockchain, it could pay you daily. That'd be pretty cool. Like most people are sick and tired of waiting 3 months or even a year. Like proportionally, the rent could be paid every day. And, you know, it's why we actually built, and I don't know how many of you know this, but we built our own cryptocurrency, our own token back in 2017. It's called the Wealthy Coin. And unfortunately, it was well ahead of its time and it didn't work. We still got it and we're waiting for the regulation. But I see a world where one day hopefully in the near future, we're going to invest in property through the blockchain using cryptocurrency, but it's going to be owned by a real asset. Like it's going to be owned by a real building, like this building behind me here. And, you know, people want to invest in something of substance. Right. Trend number 5, the social pressure to democratize access to wealth. You see in the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, number 1 is no poverty. The single biggest problem that we've got on the planet is the wealth gap. How do we solve that in terms of that process? And that's exactly what we're going after. We're going after that problem to solve that. And our belief is that if you can help everybody, if you can help the 99% invest like the top 1%, if you can give them access to the assets that the top 1% have, you'll go a long way to solving it, more so than anything else. The sixth one is gamification and learning while doing. There's a whole bunch of benefits to gamification. You get instant feedback, you get better learning environment, you get prompted behavioral change. It can be applied for most learning needs. It impacts the bottom line, and it's a better learning experience. And any one of your children, dare I say it, when it comes to computer games, but it's all the same stuff. They're really engaged. They love it. It's fun. That's gamification. That is completely opposite from going to school and sitting in the class where the teacher teaches you, you must learn this, write this down. You will have an exam in a week's time. Like, think about it. It's illogical, and it's where the world is going. Now, one of the things that's important here, and again, this is a slide I built 10 years ago. I said, look, on the left-hand side, you've got adoption. So from bottom to top. And on the bottom here, you've got growth. So low growth, high growth. What I said was, when it comes to online learning, online universities, they've exploded. There's been massive adoption and growth. But actually, when it comes to online investing, there hasn't. There's been a lot of growth, but not that much adoption. How do you change that? And the single biggest way to change that is the currency of the new economy is trust. And how do you build trust? Well, you build trust through education. So we built the Wealth University to provide people with education and knowledge, and we built Wealth Migrate as the investment platform. And we believe that the collaboration of the two, it builds the trust, and ultimately that's where we found ourselves right there. I hope that you're all starting to understand far better how this all comes together and why and what we've been building. If you go to the Wealth University, you can even go into the leaderboards, and you can see the gamification, etc. Like, a lot of what I talk about, we've already got for you to help enhance your experience. Personalization. So this is facts about personalization. So 48% of consumers spend more when the experience is personalized. 90% of marketers believe personalization is the future, and 74% of consumers get frustrated when content has nothing to do with them. So to give you an example of personalization, when you join our mastermind, we do our wealth EQ. You get an entire report of whether you should, it looks at all the different assets, growth, blend, and value. But there's 27 different types of investors, and you'll get a personalized report on who you are, why do you invest the way you do, what are the mistakes you've made, what are the right assets for you. This is exactly what personalization is all about. And the feedback we've had from people has been incredible in that. Then we take that personalization and we then look to build a portfolio. And this is where we sit with our family office, and they analyze all your different, like in this case, all your different properties, your portfolio, your pension, whatever you've got. And they bring it together. And so it starts with this wealth EQ, like, who are you as an individual? Then they understand what your portfolio is. And then finally, they help you build a plan, an asset income model. Now you can see why I call this a multifaceted human-first approach. You can see how personalization is so important here. And then you get your plan for 100 years. So if that's something you want, like, as I said, you can apply to join the mastermind, because this is personalization at the next level. And what we've done is we've democratized access to a family office so that you can have the best that the best have for a far more affordable rate in a personalized way. One of the ladies said to me, one of the most valuable benefits of joining the mastermind has been the introduction of the Callio partners. Through the Enneagram journey, I gained deep insight of not just my personality type, but also my unique investor profile. Working with Anthony, I was able to map out and document my current investment portfolio, identify key gaps, and explore my asset liability model. Seeing various ALM scenarios projected all the way through to the age of 99 was truly eye-opening. It gave me a clear roadmap for when I begin prioritizing financial freedom while still securing the retirement lifestyle I envision and building a lasting financial legacy for the next generation. Meeting with Garth introduced me to the critical role of a family office. His guidance has been instrumental as I navigate the complexities of managing generational wealth and succession planning within my family portfolio. So that's my wish for all of you, and that's why personalization is so important. And then finally, number 8, investors wanting to have a purposeful impact. Well, it's amazing the growth here. You know, it's gone from 50 billion in 2009 to 500 billion in 2014 to trillion in 2020 and to 2.5 trillion in 2025. Again, a massive trend. And one of them that I enjoy is this one. They take renters. So I've been saying this for ages. Like if you've got tenants all over the world and you've got an affordability problem all over the world, why don't you let tenants, like if they're paying $1,000 a month or £1,000 or £1,000, it doesn't matter. Why don't you make 900 go towards the rent and 100 go towards owning the building? And now they just own a piece of the building every month. But now they'll think like homeowners. They will look after the building. They will behave like homeowners. And the best part is that they'll be growing their assets from, you know, their early 20s and not waiting to get into the property market in their late 40s. How women invest. So again, the whole thing of women investing together and this massive, by the way, there's a trend also around the world where in the next 10 years, more wealth will be managed and controlled by women than by men. So that's a significant change over the next 10 years. And then finally, you know, it's this whole, by digitizing things like Wealth Migrate, by digitizing, we're literally democratizing access to these. Just some other quick bonus trends that didn't make the top 16, but the entrepreneur models. So they've got to be fully digital, data-driven, high-tech, high-touch. They have to pivot rapidly to navigate crisis. So something like COVID, cutting what was not working and doubling down on what was. And they have to have high trust with investors, team, and customers. Their trust account helped fill their bank account, which gave them fuel and accelerate. And finally, they've got to be resourceful. So there's another article that I did 10 years ago, by the way. The only reason I show you these articles from 10 years ago is you can go and read what we said 10 years ago, and then you can see where the world is today. And then when I give you a view into where the world's going in the next 10 years, hopefully you've got a better understanding of why this is important. So again, you can go and read all about the trends and everything that I wrote about 10 years ago, and these intersecting trends and why this is so valuable for you. Okay, now we've got the 8 technology trends. Do me a favor, type in the chat box. Are you still with me? We had the 8 technology trends. We had the 8 societal trends. They're all intersecting to create a generational opportunity. Now, with our family office, we also, at the Wealth Weekend, one of the things that Garth takes people through is what are the 6 mega investment trends. So you've got the technology doing this, you've got the societal doing this, but there are, as an investor, there are 6 mega trends that you need to be aware of as well. And I know you might be going, Scott, it's so many bloody numbers. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Well, lucky for you, as you know, there'll always be a cheat sheet afterwards to make it easy. So let's go through those mega trends. The first one is anxious societies. The second one is infrastructure. The third one is technology. The fourth one is the silver economy. The fifth one is millennials. And the sixth one is climate change. So if we go into those in a bit more detail, anxious societies, it's all about affordability. I already spoke about that. The 20, 30, 40-year-olds that can't get into the market. The USA can't buy until they're 45. Employment, they're worried about stable employment, personal security. So it's this anxious, you know, COVID, everything that's, you know, the wars, you know, it's this anxious anxiety. By the way, if you solve any of these problems, it provides a massive opportunity. So like in our case, we are solving affordability in terms of that process. We're also solving personal security because people are getting access to diversification. Infrastructure, smart cities, telecoms, data centers. I think that's fairly self-explanatory. Technology, well, I've taken you through the major technology trends. There are more. There's about 20 exponential technologies, but I went through the 8 major ones. The silver economy, so this is the wealthiest, this is the baby boomers, the wealthiest generation ever. And you can see here, you know, it's quite interesting. By 2060, 1 in 3 Europeans will be over 65. So there's a whole bunch of stats here, but like, where does the opportunity lie? Entertainment, golf estates, care facilities. You know, it's anything that's going to enable the wealthiest generation in the world to enjoy their retirement in terms of that. So things like travel, you know, they're going to work for more years, learning, living independently. It's all about the silver economy. And it's going to be worth 5.7 trillion by 2025. Millennials. So this is all around the millennials' values, the digital natives, the lifestyle and health, the living in different ways, the purpose and change. So again, one of the things that's really important for us is being about purpose. Yes, you want to make profit, but it's also about purpose. It's having a positive impact on the planet. And then the final one is megatrends, which is the sixth one is climate change. It's about green energy, nuclear power, smart food. And when you look at all of those, like those are the 6 trends. Now, I did start with a video. I literally started with a video and I showed you our ecosystem of how we built the Wealth University, Wealth Migrate, Wealth Movement, and in future, Wealth Create. And when you look at all of that, one of the things that happened to me was when we started in 2013, I was funding the whole business and I didn't have the money. Like it was expensive and to pay for the tech and everything else. And I read this book about Salesforce. So Salesforce is the biggest CRM, customer relationship management system in the world. And I read this book called Behind the Cloud. It's an amazing book. And what was happened in 1999, the founder of Salesforce went along to all the venture capitalists and he said, hey, give me money, give me money. And they were like, you're crazy. No one's ever going to put their data in the cloud. But he had a whole bunch of customers. So he went to his customers and they were saying, hey, could we be shareholders? So they became shareholders in the company. And it's gone on to be a $60 billion company. But the best part is they did it in collaboration. Like the community participated in the company. They used the products. So it was win-win-win in terms of that overall process. And that was where we came up with the wealth movement in terms of people becoming a partner. This is the invitation for people that if you like the story, if you can see the intersection, it's not for everyone. It is by invite only. But if you can see the intersection and you can see how the 8 technology trends are going, and you can see how the 8 societal trends are going, and you can see how the 6 mega trends and that intersection, that represents a massive opportunity. And we invite people to become a wealth movement partner and join us on the journey, not just as a investor on the platform, but as a shareholder in the platform. And again, I can go into this in a lot more detail. I'm conscious of your time. But again, something I created in 2015 is the strongest and most resilient structure in nature is the honeycomb. And so we built a honeycomb around all of the important parts to our ecosystem. And the invitation right sitting at the middle is for people that are empowered people that want to co-create a better world for all. And this is really, really important in terms of that process. So the question I say to people is, do you want to be part of a generational opportunity? And I've been saying this for a while. And as I said, I've invested my whole life in this. And I truly believe it because you can see all the mega trends. You can see what's happening around the world. And so, in terms of our company, our vision is to help everybody invest like the top 1%. Our mission is to make quality alternative assets accessible to anyone, anywhere, from any amount. And again, in the old days, it was you, and you had to go through all of these different middlemen to be able to invest. And this was if you were going through a financial advisor and the stock market, and you got a lot of exposure, you got a lot of problems with the secondary market. You should all know all of this now because I've taught you this at Wealth Going Global. Or you go buy a house, and that's you, and there's 16 different middlemen between you and your house. There's massive hassle, massive complexity, and again, I'm sure you all understand this now. So the problem is whether you go directly, buying houses, it's massive complexity, and if you go through the listed vehicle, it's inefficient. There's lots of fees, and you're actually tied virtually completely to the stock market. So when you look at returns, the stock market over 25 years S&P has got a return of about 8%. Private equity's got a return of about 12%. And we managed over the last 10 years to get a return of about 14%. And so what we're excited about is using technology to bridge the gap. So you're here, and that's the investment opportunity. And through our platform, we bridge the gap. So we make it accessible. It's got no intermediaries, full transparency, simple, quick, and easy, global investments which are vetted, and it's basically zero hassle in the process. And we've done it now for people in 178 countries, $1.3 billion, paid out over $31 million in distributions, and won lots of awards. And I'm not here today to go through all the numbers, but I mean, these are our active numbers from a traction perspective, and the members growing, the transactions growing, etc. And then for those who want to get into the detail, this is what's called unit economics, where you actually understand what is the customer lifetime value Because the real thing that is so valuable here is that when someone actually starts investing, when you open a bank account, the average time that someone keeps their bank is 15 years. It's the same process here. You're not just helping someone buy a Coca-Cola, you're helping them invest. And that's got what's called a long tail and a lot of stickability. So we've got both sides to the company. We've got a B2C, which is business to consumer. You all know that. That's Wealth Migrate. And then we've got a B2B, which is Wealth Point. And that's how we build out all our genre platforms. And so how does it sit? Well, our technology sits here. You've got all the global alternative assets. Our own distribution goes through Wealth Migrate. And then we've got our partner distribution, which are white label platforms. And we've actually got a number of platforms that are out there. But when you compare us to our competition, you can see on the left here, you've got technology and digital wallets, and you've got global focus and compliance. All the companies are stuck in one country, whereas we're the only one, to my knowledge, that is global with global compliance and global digital wallets. So we've got a very big barrier to entry in terms of the competitive landscape. And so from a defensibility perspective, we integrated with Lemonway, which is the biggest digital wallet provider in Europe. It took us 18 months to do that. We invented collaborative smart investing. We've got the licenses. We've got well-established networks. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. We've got a large community that hopefully, like you guys, is engaged and educating. And then we've got a very sticky product. When people invest, it's, as I said to you already, it's a long tail in terms of that process. And the part that probably excites me the most is that if you take over the last couple of years, $1.1 trillion is come into alternative assets. Now, if you just take a fraction of that, if you just take 5% of that, that's $55 billion US dollars. So they call it the TAM, the total addressable market, would be $1.65 billion. And if you just charge a 3% transaction fee on that, it sort of really sense checks the size and opportunity of this business. And for us, as I said, we're going after the middle class. That is where the real opportunity lies around the world. Yes, our mastermind might cater for a different type of person, but the real opportunity globally is smart investing, where you're empowering the middle class globally. Our team, I don't think I'm going to talk too much to this, but this is our team. We've actually got quite a light team. That's the beauty of technology nowadays. You can have a light team. Our growth strategy, we've got 3 growth strategies. One is distribution. So we grow through our own brands and sourcing new partners. Profitability, so converting and adding value to our members, increasing the number of transactions and reducing the cost per transaction. And then the continuous improvements, European compliance and automating the KYC. So that's all on the technology side. And then lastly, if people do want to participate, there's a minimum investment of $25,000. The growth capital is going into the profitability initiatives, the technology, and the distribution and compliance. And I'm not here to go through that in detail now. I'm just letting you know as an example. And you can invest in equity. So you're looking at an average of about a 5 times return. So you're buying at 35 cents a share. Within 5 years, the expectation is to be $1.75 a share. Now, just to give you a sense check, that would be a valuation of 35 million, which means the revenue would have to be about 3.5 million. Now, that's very, very easy and doable, and we're well on target to that. The other side of the fence is a debt opportunity, and if you are interested, you can talk with the team about how that works. And hopefully now you can see why I started with this, because in the old days you could only invest in IPOs. Most of us, including me, never had access to private equity opportunities. You don't really want to be getting involved in a startup because they've got a very high failure rate. And this is where the opportunity lies within these growth businesses. And to give you a visual representation of this, you can see on the left here, company value, and you see at the bottom here, time. So they call this the S curve. And what's interesting here is you got the startup, you got the scaling, you got the mature, and you got the listed. So down the bottom here, the funding would come through founders and seed investors. And then here in the scaling phase, this growth phase, you got venture investors, then you got large fund and corporate members. And why this is such an opportunity is because this is where the real growth, look at the company value here, the real growth is in this period. And so this is where you post revenue pre-profit. So someone like Wealth Migrate is making money, but it's still investing in tech and stuff. So it's pre-profit. And then this is where it's profitable, predictable, lower growth in terms of the process. So we're literally sitting right here, and we're going to here over the next 3 years. And what do we need? Why are we doing the growth? Well, it's capitalization and finance and deals, European compliance, mobile technology, and investor activism and evangelism. And that's the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at the 6 mega trends, you've anxious societies, we tick that box. Infrastructure, we tick that box. Technology, we tick that box. Silver economy, we tick that box. Millennial values, we tick that box. And climate change, I don't think we tick that box. I mean, you could say we do, but I'm not going to be too aggressive with that. So I joked with you and I said I would give you a poll. Has it gone now? My poll gone. I said that I would give you a poll. Well, now I'm going to give you another poll because I want to see, after everything that you've learned now, whether you would like to understand how these trends are going and whether you would like to have a conversation around these investment trends and sit down with one of the team members. So I've put up another poll for you, and I'm always interested to see, what is it, roughly 2 hours ago, people had probably not heard of most of the stuff I just taught you, and now hopefully you can see where there's a significant opportunity. So enjoy this video.
Inspired.
Freedom.
Abundance.
Credibility.
Enlightened.
Impactful.
Powerfully enabling.
Unimaginable.
Peace of mind.
Phenomenal.
Total honesty.
Reliable.
Genius.
Engaged.
Excited.
Hopeful.
Exponential.
Empowered.
Connected. Dream. Innovative.
Global diversity.
Opportunity.
Freedom. Change.
Excited.
Ukamuso. Blessed. Empowered.
Incredible. Privileged.
Revolutionary.
Super. Disruptive.
Support.
Change.
Empowering.
Excited. Interesting.
Evolving.
Global.
Opportunity.
Buzzing.
Powerful. Fortunate.
It's possible.
Work. Community. Inkululeko. Proud.
Transformative.
Fiddle.
Inclusive.
Satisfaction.
Trust.
理想.
Discipline.
Secure.
Proud.
Fortunate.
Excited.
Driven.
Privileged. Community.
Spearheading.
Unlimited.
Excited.
I feel inspired.
Partnership.
Future.
Inspired.
Peace of mind.
Excited.
Metamorphosis.
Inspirational.
Freedom.
Abundance.
Pathfinders.
Empowered.
Inspired.
Purposeful.
Opportunity.
Engaged.
Passive income.
Transformation.
Generous.
Grateful. Rewarding.
Legendary.
Cash flow.
Diversified.
Interesting.
Exciting.
Freedom.
Gives me options.
Empowerment.
Highly innovative. Exponential.
Bold.
Opportunities. Grateful.
Freedom.
Absolutely inspirational.
Leading edge.
Empowering.
Adventure.
Game changer.
Groundbreaking.
International.
Liberating.
HOPE. Phenomenal.
Professional. Life-changing.
Inspired.
Opportunity.
Freedom.
Independence.
Diversified. Peace of mind. Prosperity.
The future.
Being a wealth partner is empowering.
Just example of community. That's one word. Explain what it's like to be part of the wealth movement. And for me, they're all shareholders in the company. And the invitation, if you want to join, is fill in that survey, or if you're watching the recording, click on the link below and reach out to the team and just book a call. So just some trends that are happening at the moment. There's a massive transfer of wealth into $21 trillion to be exact in the next 8 years into real estate, private equity, debt. It's going to more than double in size. So this is, by the way, according to PwC. From 2016, it's gone from 84.9 trillion to 111.2 trillion in 2020 to 145.4 trillion in 2025. There's fewer firms managing more assets significantly cheaper. There's faster growth in Latin America and Asia Pacific. The alternative asset class, real estate, private equity, and debt will more than double, reaching 21 trillion by 2025. accounting for 15% of global assets under management. Active investments will continue to lose market share to passives and alternatives. So you can see all the trends are going in the right direction. No matter where you look around the world, no matter what region, private debt, real estate, infrastructure, private equity is where the opportunity lies. And if you just take 1% of those alternatives, it's a $211 billion industry. 10% of that is $21 billion. And if you took just 1% in fees, that would be over $200 million in revenue per year. Now, just to remind you, to get a 5 times share price growth, you only have to have a revenue of $3.5 million. So you can see that there's a tremendous scope. And when you look at opportunities, in the secondary market, which was democratized first, Robinhood came in and basically changed the way that people invest in the stock market. It's worth $2.4 billion. Public.com's $1.2 billion. You get an example. And the other thing is important when people say to me, why do you start with the mastermind? Well, this is again a slide from 2015. We said right in the beginning, this is the sophistication of the investor on the left. So we're going to start with sophisticated investors, and then we're going to bring down the minimum investment, and ultimately we're going to digitally integrate the whole thing. And we've done it. I'm super proud, but you can now invest from $10 over the last 10 years. And then in terms of valuation, Kathy Wood, that's one of the top venture capitalists in the world, she says that you should put a price per wallet, so $1,900 per user. I need to update this. But anyway, when I did this, it was 1,600. We've got 1,600 investors on the platform. That would make the company today worth $32 million, just on one method of doing it. When you look at global focus, all of the companies around the world are localized. We are the only one that is global in terms of that process. And when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, we've literally gone after number one, the most valuable. And so I want to finish off with showing you this video, which I think you'll really enjoy. This guy is a futurist. His name is Roger Hamilton. I've worked with him for a long time, since 2011, actually. And this is what he had to say about the opportunity with technology changing the property space.
But you have to do that because the democratization of real estate is going to be the biggest change that happens in fintech beyond anything else, in terms of it's going to disrupt more than the banking system. It's going to disrupt more than what's happening in stocks and shares. It's going to disrupt because basically property is the one last non-distributed asset. I mean, that's just the basics. It's like the process to buy a property is the most ridiculous thing ever if you actually think about it. And it could be as easy as basically buying a stock or a share, right? And that's what is going to happen for sure.
So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed the different trends. I will finish off with the action items, but hopefully you can now see how this all comes together with your impact, your creativity, your high touch, your high tech, and your digital, why it's all called Wealth 5.0. Our vision and our dream is to put smart investing, mobile phone, everyone has them, in every single person's pocket. So yes, you got a mobile phone already, smartphone, but what about smart investing? What about bringing it all together? I promised you that today I would share with you the future of where smart investing was going. I've also kind of obviously tried my best. I mean, I was studying this stuff 28 years ago. I've tried my best to condense everything into roughly 2 hours. But, for us, I believe that if you come on a journey with us, I can literally, because it's what I endeavor to do. And my invitation to you is join me, join us, and let's put smart investing in every single person's pocket. That's our intention. And I want to finish with a poem that was created in 2015 for the wealth movement. So it's creating a better and sustainable and better planet for all. Imagine a world where all people are literate, a world where education is par for course, a world where women are treated as equals, a world where all people have access to investment opportunities. In this world, children grow up in a family raised in a home that their parents own. Because of this, they will be healthier and have access to healthcare facilities and caregivers. They live less stressful environments with less conflict in their home. Imagine a world where 6 billion people on the planet that currently live in poverty can live a better life, even if we only get to help 1 billion in the next 5 years. Imagine that world. The wealth movement wants to create that world. And that's the wealth movement. It's about putting the power back in your hands. And my invitation to you is become part of our wealth movement, become a partner. And if you are interested, Kelly, if you can just put Alex's details in the chat box, I'd appreciate it. But for those of you watching the recording, here it is, and I'll also put them down below. But just reach out to Alex, and he can take you through in terms of for more information. So I want to finish with another little video for you. And this is a 1-minute video that really sums up everything I've tried to say and why it's so important and why I hope that you're going to really pay attention to this, because we've tried to give you the knowledge, but now I'm trying to give you insights into where the future's going and how you can be part of it. And that's the end of the 16 trends. So if I just go back here to smart investing and to finish off for you, hopefully you now understand in far more detail what Wealth 5.0 is all about. You understand how GIDS is. I've taken you logically through 6 modules, and you can see how the global investment due diligence system is put together. And the action steps for you, reminding you that silver is compulsory and gold is bonus. The first for silver is sign up to the Wealth, sign up to Wealth Migrate. So again, I've already shown you this. You can literally go to the Wealth University. You can go to the classroom, and you can go to the investor roadmap, and it'll literally show you how to sign up. Literally takes you step by step to do it easily, to take you through that process. Then the second thing is get verified, fund your wallet, and invest. I mean, we can talk about the stuff till the cars come home, but you actually, if you take the action and get the results, that's where things will dramatically change. And if you don't like Wealth Migrate, go find another platform. But, the whole idea of Wealth Going Global is to teach you what you need to know. If you like us and you trust us, then invest with us. If you don't, then I understand that. But I've hopefully tried to give you the knowledge. And then as a follow-on, because 99% of people are going to learn the knowledge and they're not going to take action and they're not going to get results. And my invitation to you is either join the Wealth Hackers, which is like a digital online community, or join the mastermind where you get bespoke one-to-one like help, where someone's actually going to hold your hand. And then as a bonus, if you want to become a shareholder, become a wealth partner in the company, I've shared a little bit today about what that's all about. But if you want to talk one-to-one with the team, then, Alex specifically, then do that. Ladies and gentlemen, we started a journey 7 modules ago, 6 modules and 1 bonus. And I took you through your why. I said, why is this important to you? And then we went through the countries. What are the top 5 countries in the world to invest in? Then I went through currencies. What are the top 5 currencies to invest in with my partner, James Painter? Then I went through assets, and I said, what are the top 15 assets in the world you should invest in? Then we went through partners. How do you find the right partners? How do you avoid the mistakes? Then we went through time and about building a whole plan. And it's all about your passive income. And today we spoke about smart investing, and you can actually see in the top right corner here, how do you live a life unlimited? Well, it's through smart investing. And hopefully my little diagrams and everything are starting to make a little bit more sense to you, as you can see the substance behind a lot of these things. I remind you of the bonus. If you're feeling overwhelmed, there's a lot of information. I've given you access to creating lasting change, where you can take all of this information and you can synthesize it. It's from Tony Robbins. He taught me personally. It's some of the best in the world. And it's the way that you take a lot of information and you turn it into real life and you turn it into results. And I've said I'll give it to you for free, as long as you tell people, give me a testimonial and tell them, what's it been like going through the roadmap from investing like the 99% to investing like the top 1%. It's been an honor and a privilege to be on this journey with you. If you've enjoyed it, I really, really appreciate that. And if you've got constructive feedback, I would also appreciate that. because we can only get better. I've told you already, you've watched the videos. We want to empower 1 billion people. We can't do it on our own. We need your help to be able to do that. And so we walked on a journey over the last couple of weeks. And my wish for all of you is to get to mastery. It's certainly my endeavor. And I remind you of these slides, which we had many weeks ago now. But people often get their musts, but not their shoulds. They get what they tolerate. And the learning is that you go through all these different stages of learning. But the most important thing is that you get people that are dabblers, that kind of start and stop things. If you're still here, congratulations. You're definitely not a dabbler. You still might be a stressor, which is you'll find a way, you'll stress. But my wish for all of you is to be a master. Expect problems, find a pathway, look for the easiest way, look for others who've done it. Success leaves clues. And for me, the number one thing that I've learned about mastery is partner with people that are already doing it. I mean, if you look at Richard Branson, 400 companies, $8 billion companies, how's he done it? Every single thing he's done has been through partnership. So we started today with beginning teaching. I've taken you down a road towards advanced teaching so that you can really start to see. I showed you the theory, now that the course is coming to an end, this is the theory of how it's all going to work, but actually in real life, it's a bit chaotic. And that's exactly why I've got the Wealth Hackers for you, to hold your hand. Alex is there every Wednesday. I'm there every Friday. You've got access to asset class mastery with all the different assets. And, the value of that alone is $15,000. But the most important thing is the accountability. As this person, Karen, said, may I please agree on Alex, mind-blowing. I will climb Kilimanjaro with him. Passive Income Challenge changed my life and has put me on a wealthy mindset. The coaching and hand-holding we are receiving is actually priceless. You are so honest. Your network is your net worth. I think you get the point. So if you are interested, you can go to that link, Wealth Hackers, and join us and continue the journey with us. And I want to finish with something that's really important, because 95% of the world is in an away state. They're withdrawn, they're fearful, inability to make good choices, demotivated. And only 5% of the world is in a towards state. Happy, ability to think clearly, creative, see new opportunities. And I believe there's 2 ways to be in a towards state. One is you've got to be in a like-minded group of people. I've proven it to you statistically. You've got to be in a group of like-minded people that are going in the same direction. And 2 is you've got to be very clear on your outcomes. And that for me is why we created the mastermind, because I sit with you one-to-one. We get very clear on your outcomes. Where do you want to go? The family office gets very clear on where you're at. We help you build a plan to get from A to B. And then I hold you to account along the journey to make sure that's a reality. Plus, you're part of a like-minded community. So it literally takes the best of how to get results and gives you a solution in terms of that process. And again, if you are interested, you can just go to that link, globallydiversifiedwealth.com/call, and you can chat to one of the team. It's by invite only. So it's worth sitting down and having a meeting. And the reason we guarantee our results, I don't like this industry, the financial industry, where it's a lot of talk and talk is cheap. For us, it's like, right, that's your outcome. This is the plan. Let's execute on the plan. And as long as you're doing what's on the plan, we'll stick with you until you get the results. That's how we operate. So one final stat, if I haven't blown your mind with stats already, is that according to Harvard, if you are taught something, like you've just been taught something over the last couple of weeks, after 3 months, you're only going to recall 10% of it. But if you actually get involved, if you're part of a community, you're starting to invest, you're going to remember 95% of it. My wish for all of you is that you might have the knowledge now. You might even be able to go watch the recordings again. But the way to really synthesize this is to join a community and to do it. Okay, because that's how you then turn this knowledge into actually staying with you. I finish with a great quote. Money won't create success. The freedom to make it will.
I have walked a long walk to freedom. It has been a lonely road, and it is not over yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the journey to wealth is a lonely road. Most of us don't have people to talk to. We don't have people around us. We don't have the right support. It makes me very emotional that we've been on this journey together. And when you look at this wealth blueprint, we're all here to get wealth, freedom, and legacy. And it's built on a solid base of belief and knowledge. You've got to have the plan, you've got to have the access, you've got to have the systems, you've got to have the accountability, and you've got to have the trust. We've got all of that for you. And I hope that as you get to the end of this program, Wealth Going Global, that your knowledge has increased dramatically, that your belief has increased dramatically, that you're starting to formulate your plan, but you can see how the rest of this building comes together. I promised you right from the beginning, I wouldn't drop you and that I would give you a solution. And if you're a rank beginner and you're feeling overwhelmed, don't worry. Just keep going. Just keep going. So that was my invitation. I truly hope that you have transformed from the 99%, if nothing else, in thinking and mindset, to the top 1%. And my wish for you is diversification, passive income, financial freedom, and to be a global citizen. And if you enjoyed this, like I said to you, please give us a testimonial. I would really appreciate it. And as we always finish off, what did you think of this session? Let's play a little game. Let's have some fun. Think of 1 or 2 words. Get ready to post. 3, 2, 1, go for it. I'm always fascinated to see what people have to say. I'm feeling very, very emotional at the moment. And we certainly put our heart and soul into what we do. And it can be very tough at times. But I hope, if nothing else, over the last couple of weeks, we've lived up to our purpose, which is to empower everyone to invest like the top 1%. And I truly just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for committing and being here. And it truly is an honor and a privilege to share all this knowledge with you. So thank you. And to those of you who said legendary, awesome shareholder, awesome, empowering, honest, inspirational, I appreciate it very much. If I could ask for one thing, if you enjoyed this, tell your friends about it. The only way we're going to change the world is if we do it one person at a time. So we start with you, we change your reality, and then you tell someone else. And it reminds me of a story which I love, and you might have heard before, but I love it. And it's the story of an old man and a young boy, and they're walking down the beach. And they're going down this beach, and the old man keeps bending down and picking up a starfish and throwing it into the sea. And the young boy is confused. He looks up and he looks down the beach, and there's thousands and thousands of starfish. And he sees the old man, his grandfather, lean down again and pick up starfish and throw it in the sea. And eventually he can't help himself, and he turns to the old man, his grandfather, and he says, "What are you doing? Like, what's the point? There's thousands of starfish." And the old man walks, he bends down, he picks up a starfish, and he throws it in the sea. And he said, "It mattered for that starfish." And I just want to say that I see you, I hear you, and my wish for you is that everything I've taught you and that the team has taught you, thank you to Shane and Kelly and Alex and Shanika and Mersha and Verna and Paolo and everyone else that's part of our team. I really appreciate you all supporting me to support you. But I hope that we can have a meaningful impact in your life. So thank you. It's been a privilege. I will be on the FAQ on Friday if there's anything I can help with. And come join us in the community. There's no need for the conversation or the journey to end. I think that's it. Kelly, anything I've forgotten?
Richard, I think the only thing is, I was going to say that, Richard.
Richard, I can see you.
But yeah, thanks, Scott.
Scott, well done, and team. You've actually done so much. You've achieved so much. You've done so much for us. Massive benefit. Really appreciate it. I can see your vision. There's so much alignment anyway as well, but I'm absolutely certain that you're going to achieve what you set out to achieve. I want to be a shareholder.
Awesome. Well, Richard, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I actually got asked that this morning on the radio station. They were like, "Has it been hard?" I was like, well, anyone that's ever been a businessman or businesswoman will know that it's hard, full stop. But trying to change an entire industry, that's a whole nother challenge. So it has certainly it's certainly been a hell of a lot tougher than I ever expected. But when people like yourselves today give me the privilege of sharing these massive macro trends, the global problems, plus the opportunities, hopefully you can understand why we've been relentless in pursuit. And I'm just truly grateful now that people truly do have access to the knowledge through the Wealth University and investment through Wealth Migrate. And for me, everything we dreamed of 10 years ago now exists, which is, I mean, obviously it can improve, and some of the social proofing stuff that I showed you doesn't exist yet, but the foundation is all there. And that's just really, really exciting. So it's been a really fascinating journey. So, but yeah, thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. And Ingrid, thank you for the kind words. And to the rest of you, I will see you on Friday. Hopefully this will not be our last interaction. Let's walk that journey. As Nelson Mandela, the journey of wealth can be a lonely road. And there's no such thing as the end, because, you know, it doesn't matter how old you are, your wealth should, you know, be beyond you. And so no matter how old we are, we should be learning, we should be growing, we should be investing. And most importantly, I think we should have like-minded people around us so we can have some fun in the process. That's my wish for all of you. See you on Friday. Cheers.